Quick rundown of what we talked about. We were talking a lot about how you're managing your own directional movement, like where in your feet, and how are you starting to handle your own timing. So we talked a bit. Actually, it started to get a lot better when we kind of like brought it back to the feet and what's happening. At the beginning, you were going past a foot, which meant every step had a moment of halt and like stop to it. Instead of I can go to a foot and I am like my feet aren't sliding as I go or leave. I have full control over every weight transfer. And as I go backwards into a foot, I'm now managing this energy and redirection for myself. We're no longer gonna settle like into a hip. That takes the energy and puts it down, which means every time my energy goes down, my leaders can have to like start the engine again, versus like I'm just going back until I go forward. I'm just going forward until I go backwards. So everything has a sense of fluidity and ease of movement. And it's like, my favorite analogy is just that like pinball machine where the ball is bouncing around with like its own energy. And it's just kind of being flapped around by the flippers. So that was a huge thing. And then we talked a bit about timing. Now that you're like, as soon as you take your own momentum and your own timing into your own hands, so to speak, everything's just gonna get better. You're not kind of at the whim of your leader. You get to dictate your own timing down below. You get to dictate your own movement up and down the slot, and they're just like redirecting and asking for those moments. But in between those moments, you're just moving yourself, sticking to your own timing. So it's going to be far easier to be consistent within yourself than kind of at the whim of any kind of random leader you might get in a contest, especially. We talked a little bit about the timing of your one specifically. When we talk about like a hitch versus a regular one versus a delayed one, a hitch is any time where that weight goes back on one to replace and go forward. So it'd be one replace forward on two. A delayed one is just delaying forward, boom, boom, but I'm still starting that movement forward on one. A tap in one might be like a sense of like underneath, boom, tick, tick. It's still going forward or staying forward, boom, boom. And then a regular one is everything's gone back as far as it's going to go, and then it just goes forward on one. Making sure that those are distinct, and we're doing a little bit of all of them. Just because it's a blues song or jazz or soul or whatever it might be, I want you to just think of it all the same. Like regardless of what genre, you're still maintaining your own momentum. You're still being really true about the direction that they send you in. You're still managing your feet, your weight transfers, your own timing. The more we can find consistent within ourselves, the easier it is to then maybe add different styling on top of it. If I'm dancing to a more traditional song, maybe it's more about the rhythms underneath me. If I'm dancing to a gushy late night or pop, maybe it's going to be more of that upper body shape kind of stuff. And then the mechanics are the same regardless, no matter what. And then one of the last things we were kind of talking about, connection being a symptom or like a byproduct of me doing my end of the deal, of my leader doing their end of the deal. If I haven't filled enough space, I probably won't feel the desired connection. It won't feel like I filled all the space. So by taking up more of that space, I'm going to actually fulfill the requirements being asked of me. Thus, I will feel some kind of probably tension if we're moving away from each other. Can I use you really quick? So just like sugar push me. So I'm relying, like the reason we have compression is because I move in and he has stopped. We have directional intent here as we're going in forward. So he has now stopped me. If I stop myself, we actually don't have it. So I'm not going to try to create it. It simply is a piece of information going, oh, I didn't fill all the space. As I then fill it, we feel the desired connection. Same thing as V steps forward on forward. If I don't feel the right connection, or if I choose to stop, that means that either he needs to fill that space, or that means that I didn't fill it enough. I'll go back. As soon as I fill my space and stick to my own momentum and timing, I feel the desired connection. So I'm less focused on that. I will notice it and feel it, and we use it to communicate where we are, but it's a lot less of the end goal, and it's more of a byproduct of when I do my job of filling space and a leader does their job of boundarying space.
Got it.
And since you do lead a lot, I want you to really think of what switches between those two things when you're bouncing between the two lead and follow roles.
Okay.
And that's it.